911, is this a police, fire, or medical emergency?
Just minutes after receiving the call about an overdose, 911 dispatchers sent a rescue crew to a home off 16th Street North in St. Petersburg. The victim was lying on the floor, not breathing.
I just had a gut feeling that someone was going to die in that house. I knew they were shooting up. I knew they were doing the Roxys and the Xanax.
Stacy and her cousin Frankie Herrera, childhood friends, had been living together in that house and using drugs every night.
She needed to smell that smell of death. She needed to know what it was like to overdose on drugs, because I felt my daughter was going to. I mean, that's where her life was heading. It was death.
When the ambulance arrived at Northside Hospital, the diagnosis was bleak. An overdose of oxycodone was shutting down vital organs.
I look at the family like a pane of glass, okay? When an addict dies, that family's like a pane of glass that's been hit with a rock. It just shatters. Feelings of loss, grief. There's different opinions of how things should have been handled. We could have did this better, we could have did that better. What if this, what if that? It's just a very devastating factor to families when people die from the disease of addiction inside the family.
But it wasn't Stacy losing her battle. Frankie was the one lying in a hospital bed, tubes and machines keeping him alive. Sherry knew her daughter needed to see this as a wake-up call. But Stacy couldn't watch. She was in jail.
I really felt Stacy needed to see that. With her drug addiction, she was living with Frank. They were using together.
After her arrest in Operation Oxycodone, Stacy faced 5 years in prison. But Judge Farnell allowed her to plead guilty and receive probation that included a 12-step program. The deal initially kept her out of jail, which was important to Stacy and her 2 children. 12-year-old Jade lived with her paternal grandparents. Stacy gave birth to her when she was 16. Richie, at 2 years old, was being raised by his grandmother, Stacy's mother, Sherry.
I have to do what's best for Richie, not necessarily what's best for me or her. He's the one that's important here. He's the child.
Sherry was conflicted about the help she was giving her daughter. Before long, Stacy failed a drug test, stopped going to counseling, and was skipping court.
You tell them what can be down this road if they'll just start step 1. And they might start step 1, and then boom, they've backtracked, and it's back to square one, and trying to figure out what else that we can do, trying to keep them alive.
That's when Stacy was asked by Judge Farnell in court if she had simply given up.
Well, are you giving up, or are you going to continue to fight?
The judge gave Stacy a second chance and sent her straight to jail to get the drugs out of her system. She spent 10 days in the medical wing, aching, shivering, and nauseous. Afterwards, she started writing a journal and letters. In one, she says,
I hate drugs and everything they do to people. I can't believe I have let them control my life for so long.
Knowing her cousin Frankie had overdosed and was on life support, Stacy wrote this to her mother.
Frank is not doing good, and I'm very scared.
And she promised this.
I won't let this addiction take my life.
This is Stacy Nicholson. I would ask for her to be released to her family's custody at this point.
This is a severe overdose. He is dying. He's dying. We have to unhook the ventilator today. I'm here to get her. She needs to witness this.
And the important thing...
His liver's gone, his kidneys are failing, and he has brain damage.
The court gave Stacy permission to leave jail early and to witness a death.
Oh, God.
But death did not come quickly or easily. Frankie was young, and his body struggled.
I love you, baby.
But in the end, he surrendered and escaped from addiction and from life. Outside Frankie's hospital room, Stacy promises her mother she won't die.
Never, ever do you don't think... Come on now.
Their lives kind of turned bad there for a while, and they were all using together, and I think it's really affected Stacy that Frankie's gone.
And the night Frankie died, Stacy was given a chance to start over.
You get on track here, or you're out of here. I'm not playing no games with any of you.
With a 6-month program at a halfway house called Simply Hope.
When Stacy first came here, I thought she had a 50-50 chance to make it. I think all addicts have a 50-50 chance when they come here to make it.
But it wouldn't be her last time in jail or her last time using drugs.
You gotta change your thinking. When you do that for so long, that's all you ever think about, is getting high.
Next, after their daughter drops out of college, the family waits and fears she will hit rock bottom.
I didn't want to do anything. I sat at home all day.
And experts explain whether addiction is indeed a disease, or is it just an excuse?
I can't make them understand, what was wrong with me.
When If I Die Young returns.